In 1854, a crowd of Illinois farmers stood in the open air and absorbed 7 straight hours of political debate voluntarily and called it a great day out. You and I struggle to survive a 90-second clip. Same brain, different owner. You're about to find out exactly who took possession and why you signed the paperwork smiling. Because 2 famous writers predicted how human freedom would actually die, and the world built monuments to the wrong one. The prophecy that came true is the one that feels wonderful, and once you spot it, an ordinary weeknight starts looking like a heist in progress. Ignore this, and you remain the merchandise. Back to that afternoon. Stephen Douglas, a sitting U.S. Senator, speaks for 3 full hours. Abraham Lincoln rises next and announces it's 5 o'clock. My reply will run just as long, so go home, eat dinner, and come back. They came back. Shopkeepers and laborers walked into the dark for several more hours of dense constitutional argument. No soundtrack, no host cueing their outrage, and plenty of them could barely read. So the secret wasn't at schooling or some lost superbrain, because their hardware was identical to yours. It was something stranger. A mind takes the shape of its environment, the way a river takes the shape of its bed. Theirs was carved by the printed page, a technology that demands you sit still, follow a premise to its conclusion, and hold an idea long enough to judge it. Every newspaper column was a workout, which made Marathon Focus feel completely unremarkable. Then somebody swapped the riverbed. Yours rewards the opposite. The average news story is now consumed in under 60 seconds, stripped of context, wedged between ads engineered to spark one feeling and replace it with another before the first can land. Linger anywhere, and the current punishes your patience. Eeriest of all, none of it registers as loss. Every generation mistakes its container for the natural shape of the world. So the fix sounds obvious. Delete the apps, summon discipline. Except willpower is armor against the wrong dystopia. George Orwell feared the boot sensors, burned books, truth seized by force. Aldous Huxley feared something quieter, a future where nobody bans books, because nobody wants to read one, where truth isn't hidden but drowned in an ocean of amusement. One of those futures arrived, and it contains no jailer. Nobody rebels against a captor who only hands out gifts. Those farmers invested one long afternoon and helped steer a nation. You'll invest the same hours this week in something. Run the test tomorrow. Make a tally mark every time something grabs your eyes that you never chose. By sunset, you'll hold a number, and that number is a count of the hands on your strings. Your life becomes whatever receives your attention. The only question left is who's been choosing. There is exactly one addiction on Earth that earns you compliments. It consumes about 2 hours of your day, improves nothing you can point to, and people call it being responsible. A single written question dismantles it in 7 days, and almost nobody has the nerve to ask it. First, a warning about your backup plan. A Yale professor whose job is teaching persuasion got so hooked on a free step counter that she ended up pacing her own hallway at midnight chasing points. Her story is why "I'll just cut back" was never much of a strategy. Rewind to the 1840s, when information first learned to outrun a human being. Before the telegraph, news traveled at the speed of a horse. So what you knew stayed attached to your life. Grain prices, a neighbor's health, weather rolling toward your own fields. You could act on it. Then the wires went up, and a man in Boston suddenly knew about floods on the Mississippi and crimes in New Orleans he could do nothing about. Henry David Thoreau watched the polls rise and predicted that Maine and Texas might have nothing important to communicate. People laughed. The wires proved him right and invented a brand new product along the way. That product was information stripped of action. For your ancestors, knowing and doing stayed roughly balanced. You learned things in order to respond to them. Today, you can absorb 10,000 events before breakfast and respond to none. The dangerous part hides in your wiring. Consume a distant catastrophe, feel the appropriate concern, and an ancient circuit logs that feeling as step 1 of a response. No second step ever arrives. You spent real attention, produced real emotion, changed nothing, and returned the next day for another dose of feeling useful. Which brings us back to Zoe Chance, Yale School of Management, expert in influence. One free pedometer turned her into a midnight hallway pacer, and escaping required physically destroying the device. If a professional manipulation expert loses to a step counter, your raw willpower against a feed built by hundreds of engineers isn't a strategy, it's a donation. So the answer must be a 30-day detox. Tempting and wrong, because a detox attacks the dose, while the real problem is the yield. Run the audit instead. For 7 days, after every news or feed session, write one line answering this: what did I just do differently because of that? Not felt, not learned, did. A decision changed, an action taken, a conversation started. Keep 2 columns. Hours in, actions out. By Sunday, most people stare at a fat column of hours beside a nearly blank column of actions. And that blank space rewires behavior faster than any blocker. Nobody keeps feeding a machine they can watch eating their time and paying out nothing. Information you can't act on isn't nourishment. It's junk food wearing a press badge. Stop measuring how informed you are. Start measuring the yield. A news anchor finishes describing a tragedy, pauses half a beat, and says 2 words: now this. Cut to a grinning toothpaste commercial. Those 2 words have trained you thousands of times, and the craving they installed loses to a 10-minute timer. Because the most expensive half-second of your life happens dozens of times a day, you have never once witnessed it. And every feed on the planet is bankrolled by keeping it invisible. Spot it a single time and the whole machine starts misfiring. Start with what those 2 words teach. Now, this announces that whatever you just saw, grief, disaster, catastrophe, is finished, disconnected, and unworthy of 1 more second of feeling. Hear it 10,000 times, and you've been schooled in a worldview where nothing connects and nothing deserves dwelling on. Endlessly engaging, utterly weightless. Notice, though, which fragments sink the deepest hooks, the frightening ones. That part is not an editing choice. Your attention was built on a dangerous plane, where the most valuable information was always the threat, the rustle in the grass, the shape at the edge of the firelight. Ancestors who couldn't stop scanning for danger out-survived the relaxed ones. So you descend from the line that couldn't look away. 1,000 pieces of good news slide off you, while one alarming headline sinks in and stays. The systems competing for your eyes have measured this across billions of interactions, which is why alarm rises to the top of every stream automatically. Fear wins the auction every time. Yet the deadliest part of this trap isn't out there at all. Watch yourself the instant before you reach for the phone, and you'll catch it. A feeling arrives first. Boredom. A flicker of dread about an email. Loneliness in a quiet room. The reach was never for information. It's an exit. Bad news runs a double con. Manufacture discomfort. Then sell the next headline as relief. The loop bills you twice and calls it staying informed. The obvious fix is blockers and deletions, except removing one exit does nothing to the feeling, which simply rents a different door. So you train on the feeling directly. 3 steps starting today. First, when the pull hits, freeze and name what's underneath, out loud or on paper. Bored, anxious, lonely. Naming drags it into the light. Second, set a timer for 10 minutes with full permission to give in after it rings. Third, watch what the craving does while you wait. Almost every wave crests and breaks before the alarm sounds, and you discover firsthand that you were never being commanded, only weathered. Run it 3 times this week, and a strange bonus appears. Something in you was calmly watching the urge, separate and untouched. A craving is not a command. It's weather. The feed never had a hook in you. It had a hook in a feeling you'd never named. And you just named it. Somewhere in your head right now sits a desire you would swear is yours. It was mailed to you. The man who built the postal service for modern persuasion published his methods in 1928. A 3-question audit can trace any package back to its sender. Proof first. A dying fabric company resurrected an entire nation's taste without buying a single advertisement. Millions of women experienced the comeback as their own spontaneous preference. The same maneuver is running on you this week, probably several times. The fabric was velvet, and fashion had abandoned it. The desperate manufacturer hired Edward Bernays, who refused to advertise. He went upstream instead. Paris couture houses were quietly persuaded to feature velvet. Fashion editors photographed the gowns, and the right tastemakers wore them in the right rooms. Months later, American women walked into shops and freely chose velvet. Each one certain the urge had come from her own refined taste. Not one traced it back to a desk. That untraceability was not a side effect. It was the product. Then Bernays did something almost arrogant. He wrote the playbook down openly in a 1928 book titled Propaganda. Its master principle fits in one line: never argue with a mind, rearrange its circumstances until your conclusion feels self-grown. Selling pianos. Do not praise pianos. Make the music room a mark of the cultured home, and customers arrive begging for the instrument. A mind defends itself against claims it rarely defends itself against furniture. 2 more levers complete the kit. Manufactured events stage the contest, the anniversary gala. The survey turned headline. People resist advertisements but often accept events because an event looks like reality. Then there are group leaders skip the crowd, persuade the handful the crowd already copies, and influence flows downhill. So the smart response is total suspicion of everything right-wrong. Paranoia is just credulity pointed in a different direction. You would still be outsourcing your judgment only now to fear. The grown-up move is an audit. Pick one strong recent want, or opinion, ideally one that feels intensely original, and ask 3 questions. First, where did this first enter me? Which screen conversation or moment? Second, who handed it to me and who handed it to them? Third, does anyone upstream profit? If I keep it, some desires pass clean. They are genuinely yours. Keep them proudly. Others come back carrying a sender you never noticed. When a want shows up sudden flattering, and everywhere at once check it for a return address. The velvet buyers never felt manipulated. They felt tasteful. From the inside, engineered desire is often indistinguishable from preference. This audit is your window from the outside. A father glanced at his phone for 1 second and lost a sentence he can never retrieve. Coming up is the 30-second math that converts your 1 seconds into stolen months. Most people refuse to run it because the answer flatters no one. There's also an old parable about a thorn that explains the part nobody admits. Why your hand drifts toward the screen even while someone you love is mid-sentence. Once it clicks, the glance stops looking innocent. The father was on the floor with his young daughter and an activity book when they reached a golden question. If you could have any superpower, what would it be? She started to answer. His phone pulled his eyes down. 1 notification, 1 second. And when he looked up, she had wandered off. He never heard the answer. Not that day. Not since. He went on to build a career studying distraction, partly because of that missing sentence. Which raises the real question. Why do we keep trading living moments for a glowing rectangle? Picture a thorn lodged in your arm, touching a nerve. 2 options. Pull it out. 1 sharp pain, then freedom. Or leave it in and engineer your entire life around protecting it. Padding, gadgets, rules for everyone near you. An ever-expanding system designed to ensure nothing ever brushes the spot. Almost everyone picks option 2 for every old hurt and unfaced fear, and we name the resulting fortress our personality. So when a quiet moment turns faintly uncomfortable, a thorn just got brushed, and the phone becomes the padding. You were never choosing the screen over your daughter. You were fleeing a feeling, and the screen was the nearest exit. Small flights seem cheap. Run the bill. 3 reactive hours a day, a conservative figure for many people, becomes 21 a week, nearly 1,100 a year. Divide by 16 waking hours and the total lands hard. 68 full waking days every single year. More than 2 months poured into a stream with an action rate near 0. Stretch that across decades and the units change to years. Actual years of your 1 allotment of conscious life. Knowing this should fix it. It won't. A number you calculate once evaporates by Thursday. A number you can see compounds. So make yours visible right now. Honest daily reactive hours. Round up. Everyone rounds down. multiplied by 365, then divided by 16. That's your stolen waking days per year. Write the figure where you'll collide with it daily. A bathroom mirror, lock screen, or wallet. Not as a whip, as a budget. This damage rarely announces itself. A leaking roof drips silently for years, and you only meet the ruined ceiling at the end. Attention leaks become life leaks. Every reactive hour was stolen from a different hour. The one holding the skill, the page, the friend, or a small girl's superpower answer. Your number isn't a verdict. It's the opening balance of the comeback. Hospital nurses were making medication errors that hurt real patients. Leadership fixed it without training anyone, lecturing anyone, or firing anyone. They bought vests. That trick design beating discipline becomes your complete four-move system. Along the way, you'll meet a man who cured years of skipped workouts with a $100 bill and a lighter. You'll also hear the one vegetarian sentence that deletes more temptation than every blocker you've ever installed. The nurse's errors weren't carelessness. They were interruption. A colleague's question mid-dose calculation, a snapped thread of focus, a mistake slipping through. So during medication rounds, each nurse wore a brightly colored vest, meaning do not interrupt, and errors plummeted. Nobody upgraded the people. They upgraded the room. Your rebellion runs on the same physics in 4 moves whose order is everything. Everyone who starts with the phone eventually relapses. Move 1 happens inside. Every reach for distraction is pushed by a feeling, so when the pull hits, name the feeling and grant it 10 minutes before deciding. The wave usually breaks first. Evict 1 belief. Willpower is not a draining battery. Calling yourself easily distracted isn't a description, it's an instruction. Move 2 aims the freed attention. Distraction's true opposite is traction. So timebox convert your values into actual blocks, including rest. Because planned leisure is traction, never guilt. Only now does the phone enter the story. Move 3 interrogate every external trigger with one ruthless question. Is this serving me, or am I serving it? Default notifications. Serve the sender, so remove them. Build your own vest, a closed door, a visible signal. The device exiled to another room. Messages batched into windows. Drop the fear of seeming unreachable. When researchers forced elite consultants to take guaranteed disconnected evenings, teams resisted, then produced better work, because protected attention finally went deep. One move remains, and it outranks the rest. Environment design has a quiet failure point. Every room you build eventually cracks because the weakest link was never in the room. It's the future version of you, the impulsive one who grabs the wheel under temptation. Move 4 binds that self in advance with packs. Effort packs add friction. Price packs add stakes, like one man who taped a $100 bill to his calendar and vowed to burn it if he skipped a workout. He stopped skipping. Deepest of all are identity packs. A vegetarian doesn't white-knuckle past a steak. I don't eat meat closes the question before it opens. Adopt the same sentence about your mind. I am Indistractable. Tonight's assignment, timebox tomorrow. Remove the sender, serving notifications, and pick one pact. Stop trying to become more disciplined. Become the architect. The nurses never got stronger. The room did. On a live trading floor, researchers ran a strange test to predict which traders would survive brutal markets. Intelligence did not predict who would last, and fancy models failed too. The survivors could accurately count their own heartbeats. By the end, you will know how to put that insight to work. A man behind some of the greatest biographies holds a 1,000,000-word book together without holding it all in his head. His trick costs less than lunch and works on almost any problem. Start with the heartbeat finding because it sounds like mysticism and is anything but. In a famous lab experiment, people played a card game secretly rigged so certain decks would ruin them. Their palms began sweating at the dangerous decks long before their conscious minds could explain why. The body finished the math first and reported the answer as sensation. A gut feeling is often compressed pattern recognition from thousands of hours of experience delivered below language. One caution keeps it honest. The signal is only as wise as the experience that trained it. Calibrate it, do not worship it. Your body votes, and most people have taught themselves to ignore the ballot. Motion runs the same upgrade. Charles Darwin built a looping path near his home, his sandwalk, and walked it daily while assembling his theory. Modern studies support the habit people generate more and better ideas while walking, and the boost lingers after they sit down. Route matters too. Walkers among trees often return with restored focus and sharper memory, while traffic gives far less back. Even your hands are thinking equipment. Prevent someone from gesturing, and their reasoning often becomes less fluid, because the hands carry pieces of an idea the mouth cannot hold yet. Still, the biggest extension is not in your body at all. Robert Caro pins the architecture of each massive biography across a corkboard wall, then physically walks the length of his own book. The wall is not storage. The wall is where the thinking happens. The mechanism has a name detachment gain. A thought inside your head feels like something you are, so it is difficult to see around it. The moment it lands on paper, it becomes an object visible, criticizable, and fixable. Writing does not simply record thinking, it helps manufacture it. Order a whiteboard and call yourself upgraded, not quite. School often installs the belief that using help is cheating, so people keep grinding everything inside the skull. That turns out to be one of the least effective places to do complex work. Run the loop instead. Step 1. Pick a real problem and compress it into a single written question. Step 2. Walk it for 20 to 30 minutes, preferably among trees with the phone left behind. Step 3. The moment you return, dump everything onto a page or wall where your eyes can reach it, then attack what you see. Before any major decision, add a 4th step. Notice what your body is doing. Tight chest, easy breath. Restless energy, and let that vote sit beside the spreadsheet. A thought you can see is a thought you can fix. A scroll session hands you more inputs, a loop hands you more intelligence. Stop trying to own a better brain, start building a better loop. On a live trading floor, researchers ran a strange test to predict which traders would survive brutal markets. Intelligence did not predict who would last, and fancy models failed too. The survivors could accurately count their own heartbeats. By the end, you will know how to put that insight to work. A man behind some of the greatest biographies holds a 1,000,000-word book together without holding it all in his head. His trick costs less than lunch and works on almost any problem. Start with the heartbeat finding because it sounds like mysticism and is anything but. In a famous lab experiment, people played a card game secretly rigged so certain decks would ruin them. Their palms began sweating at the dangerous decks long before their conscious minds could explain why. The body finished the math first and reported the answer as sensation. A gut feeling is often compressed pattern recognition from thousands of hours of experience delivered below language. One caution keeps it honest. The signal is only as wise as the experience that trained it. Calibrate it, do not worship it. Your body votes, and most people have taught themselves to ignore the ballot. Motion runs the same upgrade. Charles Darwin built a looping path near his home, his sandwalk, and walked it daily while assembling his theory. Modern studies support the habit people generate more and better ideas while walking, and the boost lingers after they sit down. Route matters too. Walkers among trees often return with restored focus and sharper memory, while traffic gives far less back. Even your hands are thinking equipment. Prevent someone from gesturing, and their reasoning often becomes less fluid, because the hands carry pieces of an idea the mouth cannot hold yet. Still, the biggest extension is not in your body at all. Robert Caro pins the architecture of each massive biography across a corkboard wall, then physically walks the length of his own book. The wall is not storage. The wall is where the thinking happens. The mechanism has a name detachment gain. A thought inside your head feels like something you are, so it is difficult to see around it. The moment it lands on paper, it becomes an object visible, criticizable, and fixable. Writing does not simply record thinking, it helps manufacture it. Order a whiteboard and call yourself upgraded, not quite. School often installs the belief that using help is cheating, so people keep grinding everything inside the skull. That turns out to be one of the least effective places to do complex work. Run the loop instead. Step 1. Pick a real problem and compress it into a single written question. Step 2, walk it for 20 to 30 minutes, preferably among trees with the phone left behind. Step 3, the moment you return, dump everything onto a page or wall where your eyes can reach it, then attack what you see. Before any major decision, add a 4th step. Notice what your body is doing. Tight chest, easy breath. Restless energy, and let that vote sit beside the spreadsheet. A thought you can see is a thought you can fix. A scroll session hands you more inputs, a loop hands you more intelligence. Stop trying to own a better brain, start building a better loop. Take the voice in your head, the narrator running right now, and imagine it stepped outside as an actual person walking beside you, saying out loud everything it says inside. The contradictions, the disaster forecasts, the replay of that one embarrassing moment from years ago. Would you take this person's advice about your life? You do, all day. What follows is the move that changes that relationship. And every outrage machine on the planet depends on a single hidden requirement inside you. The move you're about to learn removes it, which is exactly why no feed is eager to teach it. Audit the roommate honestly. It never stops talking, from dawn to sleep. It wants something, then mocks itself for wanting it. It panics over futures that never arrive and replays pasts nobody else remembers. It narrates the weather to an audience of one. You wouldn't choose this person as a travel companion. Yet, many people hand it the steering wheel of their moods, reactions, and decisions. Then, one observation breaks the arrangement. You can hear the voice. Notice how strange that is. If the chatter is being listened to, something must be doing the listening, and the listener cannot be the noise it hears. You are not the voice. You're the one hearing it. It works like a movie theater. Lost in the film, you forget the seat entirely. Then something breaks the spell, and you remember you're watching. The film keeps playing. You're simply no longer trapped inside it. That same shift is available with your own thoughts, mid-anger, mid-worry, mid-scroll, which is where a trillion-dollar machine starts to sweat. Manipulation rarely works by force. A headline strikes a nerve and harvests the eruption. Buried in that mechanism is a requirement nobody advertises. You have to become the reaction. Fuse with it. Take the surge as yourself, as truth, as something demanding immediate action. Watch the reaction rise instead. There's anger arriving, and the machine closes its grip on empty air. You removed the handle it steers by. The obvious conclusion is to silence the voice. But fighting the narrator often raises its volume, and chasing quiet becomes one more thing it narrates. The real practice takes one breath. The instant something hooks you, pause before doing anything. Say silently, "There's the voice. I'm the one hearing it." Then relax behind the surge and let it pass without obeying it, fighting it, or broadcasting it. A storm crosses a sky without damaging the sky because the sky doesn't wrestle weather. It remains the sky. You are not the storm. You're the sky it moves through. Every defense in every previous lesson stayed conditional until this one. What can be watched cannot fully drive you. What cannot fully drive you becomes much harder to scare, sell, or steer. 20 years from tonight, 2 versions of you are possible. Identical brain. Identical world, identical number of hours. One can account for where the decades went. The other can show you, shelf by shelf. The only difference between them is a habit of allocation. And you'll set the policy before this ends. There's also a question almost nobody asks until their final afternoon, when it's too late to use. Ask tonight, it quietly reorganizes an entire week. 2 famous thinkers framed the choice a century ago. One feared we'd be controlled by what we hate, the boot, the ban. The other feared what we love, a stream of pleasure so frictionless nobody bothers to look up. Shrink that prophecy to the size of a single life. Version 1 spends 20 years reacting, fluent in every controversy, present for 10,000 alarms, absent from 10,000 personal moments, the days dissolving in under a minute increments. Version 2 routes the same hours differently, skills stacking into mastery, pages accumulating into work, a body maintained, relationships deepened, a mind choosing its own inputs. What separates them was never discipline. It's compounding. You already believe in it with money. Small deposits, left alone, grow slowly, then dramatically, because gains generate gains. Attention obeys the same law. Each invested hour makes the next hour easier. The skill unlocks the harder skill. The page makes the next page possible. The trained mind learns faster, which trains it further. The leak compounds too. Every hour surrendered to the stream slightly weakens the faculty of attention itself, making tomorrow's hour easier to lose. Attention compounds exactly like money, and the final total is your life. Now, for the clarifying instrument, there is a last afternoon coming for everyone. Hold that thought for 10 seconds and ask, on that day looking back, will you wish you had refreshed the feed more? Most people at the end don't treasure alerts, arguments, or grievances. What rises in value is what the stream had been collecting all along. Presents, things made, people loved. Which leads to the most radical question in this series. Do you want to be happy? Not if circumstances improve, not when conditions cooperate. Unconditionally. A decision installed beneath the conditions instead of held hostage by them. The obvious conclusion is that a new life starts Monday. That's precisely how the stream keeps winning. It never feared dramatic battles. It feared the small constant ones. The real choice is 1 hour wide and arrives thousands of times. So install the policy tonight. In your own handwriting, write a short declaration. I will guard my attention. I will choose what enters my awareness. I will create more than I consume, because my attention is my life. Place it where tomorrow's first scroll usually happens. Then, at every pull, run a 2-word audit. Deposit or leak. You didn't choose the world you were born into, the loudest, hungriest attention market in history. The next hour, though, belongs entirely to you. So choose, not once grandly, now and now and now.